Alright, I had attempted to try to get my review for the last part of Wano out today. However, I did not get my notes organized in time. So instead, let's talk about the Ace light novels. To go spoiler-free first, Volume 1 is basically trash. I did not enjoy this really at all. That's almost a lie. There were 3 little moments that were half decent. I liked the island he was on in the beginning. There was a funny line that I liked near the end, and there were 2 little moments that told me that the author was given a jot note, at least, about Ace's character and understood that. Pretty much, Ace is very sad and melancholy and doesn't understand that he's the sweetest boy in the world and deserves all the love and happiness. Like, I love this boy. He deserves happiness. Why couldn't you give me that? Volume 2, however, was an absolute delight. I loved it so much. Writing-wise, still nothing fantastic about the writing, but the story and the characters. Actually, the story is still kind of no, the story was good. I'll give the story. The story was fine, but the characters were the best fine. They definitely understood Ace's character. Like I used different color tabs to mark different things. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4 moments that I'm like, this just is perfect for Ace's character, and I loved how they're describing what he's feeling. 3 moments actually, apparently, that made me genuinely sad for him. Like, oh my goodness, this poor sweet boy's life. And then just some other little nice moments. So I definitely enjoyed Volume 2. And Volume 1, not so much. You do not need to read Volume 1 to understand Volume 2. So Volume 1 is the formation of the Spade Pirates, as well as dealing with a Marine who is hunting them down. And Volume 2 is him coming to understand and join Whitebeard's crew, and like has him challenging Whitebeard and the attempted assassinations before finally accepting him and coming to terms with this is now his father. So going into spoilers. So the primary point of view for these novels isn't actually Ace. It's told more from the point of view of one of his crewmates, who we know as Deuce. He starts off as an unknown man washed up on a deserted island because of the tides and currents. Once you're on this island, you can't get off. I think they call it the closest island to heaven because once you're there, you're about to die. Someone once called it the island closest to heaven. Why did they say that? Because once you've set foot on it, you'll die before you escape. Exactly. So I did enjoy that line in the book. He eventually comes across Ace, who's also washed up on this island. Ace does not have his devil fruit at this moment in time, so Ace is trying to build a raft and sail out, but it keeps breaking and crashing and he has to swim back to shore. He keeps asking this, at the moment, unnamed man that refuses to give him his name, so Ace gives him the name Deuce after he tries to say, well, Ace is a good pen name, maybe I'll take that because I want to write an adventure novel. And he's like, no, you can't have Ace, so you can be Deuce. And then the man, eventually pretty much starving because there's nothing on this island that they can really eat, finds Ace eating a fruit on the beach, and he gets more or less jealous and desperate and wants to kill Ace, so he goes to attack him. And Ace instead just says, turns around, hears a stomach growling, is like, oh, you want some? And offers to share the food. The guy is distraught. He can't believe what he's become and how nice and wonderful and sweet Ace is, and he deserves all the love in the world. Refuses the fruit. Ace cuts it in half. They share it. And then suddenly Ace catches on fire, because of course it was the flame fruit. And Ace had taken the first bite, so he has its powers. They use that power to treat the wood, kind of burn it or something, make it more tolerable to when they're going out to shore. Make a nice raft, which is the boat that we see Ace on and powered by his devil fruit earlier in the actual series. So they get off. Ace had washed up on that shore looking for treasure as he's just starting out wanting to make a name for himself. And Deuce is just like, well, there was no treasure on the island. Ace is like, that's not true. I found you, didn't I? So they are the beginning formation of the Spade Pirates. We then cut to a little while later. They have more crew members, including, I don't remember his name, started with an M. We've established I'm terrible with names. He was a teacher and wants to just teach around the world. They call him Teach, which really pissed me off for obvious reasons. He is kind of the sniper, as well as teaching people to read. You also have this guy named Skull, and he is not a pirate. He just likes pirates and pirate artifacts and pirate information, so he's their information guy. I can't remember if they have the Fishman on the crew at this point, but they also have a bunch of other people who were just neglected and turned away the outcast of the outcasts. And because Ace doesn't judge anyone by how they looked, just who they are and how he feels about them as individuals, they have all gathered to him like he is the sun, and they are revolving around him because he is wonderful and he doesn't understand that he deserves all the love in the world. So bounty hunters are coming after Ace as he's starting to make a name for himself. He had stopped to help what appeared to be a shipwrecked crew, only for them to be bounty hunters, and they're attacking the spade pirates now. Ace easily takes care of that. Cue the Marines coming up behind them, where, what's her name? Isuka, something like that. So she jumps aboard the ship. I do not know what her position in the Navy is. It does not matter. So she's fighting against Ace. Deuce realizes that the boats with her and the ships are trying to barricade them in to take them down, so he steers the boats, or their cruise ship, into like a reef area where you need to kind of know the terrain so you know not to run up on the reefs, and they clear the Navy, who obviously, like, why would the Navy know anything about the surrounding area and the water and sailing and potential reef locations and formations? So they go aboard and wreck one of their ships, allowing Ace's ship to get away safely. The Marine lady, Isuka, yeah, she jumps overboard because apparently her crewmates are too stupid to know to grab onto some debris, wood barrel, something, and they're just going to drown if she doesn't jump in to save them. So she has to drag each one of her crewmates to some kind of barrel or something that's floating in the water so they don't drown. Because why would the Navy be able to do that themselves? And then there's nothing left for her, so she's in open water, and she's probably going to drown. Ace realizes, hey, she's probably a good person, so he throws her a life preserver, and they go about their merry way. We hear about times when she continues to, like, chase them down, and whatever island they're on, she shows up to attack and try to get them, but Ace always takes care of it. She's never a threat. In fact, she's said to be very annoying and an annoyance to the crew. They're not taking her seriously. Which is amplified by the fact that when they get to Sabadi and they're waiting the 3 days for their boat to get processed and get the bubble around it, she shows up in civilian clothes. And then we spend not a bunch of time, but we spend time about how, oh, she's definitely here on vacation. Her saying, no, I'm not here on vacation. I'm here to take you in. Oh, she's definitely here on vacation. So then she starts yelling at the boat and Ace on the boat, but Ace got tired of hearing her yell. So he just sneaks around the side, leaving her to yell and shake her fist at the boat, not realizing he's left. And that's just, of course, hilarious. Deuce realizes that Ace has left and did not bring his wallet with him. So realizing Ace is likely to set a nobleman on fire, goes after Ace. And then he has to pay all the shops back for the tabs that Ace ran off with without paying. Eventually finds Ace in front of a Ferris wheel. So they get in the Ferris wheel, only for the Isuka Navy lady to show up and get in with them for some reason. The Ferris wheel goes up, so she can't arrest them because they're up in the air, and they're just being awkward. It's described as a very awkward situation, just chilling in this gondola thing, where they notice the burn mark on her hand, which they noticed previously when she fought them before, and she, unprompted more or less, gives her backstory about how pirates had set fire to her village, or her town, and her parents were killed in this fire, and she was rescued by a member of the Navy who is now an admiral, or vice admiral Dra, I think, and she's very loyal to him, and she, again, randomly is just like, Ace, how about you join the military, because you're a good guy and you're not a bad pirate, so come with me, I'll vouch for you, you can join the military. Ace says, no, not happening, peace out, jumps out and goes on his way. Duke, who is also there, just looks at her like, you gonna arrest me? Because I'm not jumping out of the gondola. And she's just like, no, I'm not gonna take you hostage, okay? Besides, I'm on holidays here. Cut to the next 3 days later, when Ace and Duke are just wandering around the side streets, and he's got a mountain of food, all of which was recommended by the Navy lady, because he had said when she was yelling at him previously, is there any good food around here that you recommend? And she said, I think it was like a rice cake or something that she's got for her crewmates when she goes back. And it's like, no, stop trying to distract me. And blah, blah, blah. And Ace is just like, no, I was really just asking about some food recommendations. Thanks, I'll pick some up. So he has a bunch of those rice cake things. And he's eating them. He says they're delicious, should have bought more. They go through an alley, see some starving children, which he then gives away all his food. And they continue along their way. They come across the Navy lady as well as this, I think it's Dra. I should double check. Yes, Dra. So the one who brought her into the Navy previously, the one she idolizes, and the reason she's a Marine. They offer Ace a position as a warlord. So she's like, here, isn't this great? You can keep your title as a pirate and just come work for the world government. Ace once again says, no, screw that. I hate the warlord system. Vice Admiral Dra also hates the warlord system, so he pulls out 2 flamethrower things and tries to light Ace on fire. It goes as well as can be expected, except he gets the surrounding on fire and nearly burns all the children to death. So Ace takes the blow of the fire and is kind of deflecting it off to protect the kids, while Duke and Navy Lady go and get them out of there. More or less unprompted, Dra reveals that he was actually the one who set fire to the town that the Navy lady was in when she was a child. He's responsible for her death, and he doesn't feel bad because he was doing his duty trying to get pirates, and if there were no pirates there, then no innocent lives would have been lost, which is the same logic he's applying to this situation. He's not putting the children's life at risk. Ace is putting those lives at risk. I will give this quote because it made me hate that man. The children suffered because you were here. I'm only doing my job capturing pirates to the best of my abilities, but you can't say the same. You're not supposed to be alive. Your very existence causes people who have committed no sin to live in fear. You must accept that. Anyone who says Ace should not be alive, especially with all the trauma he's going through with Roger as his father and what people said to him growing up, I hate this man. I don't even know what this man looks like, and I want him to die. So Ace is kind of overwhelmed by the amount of fire come at him, as well as the buddy using hockey and stuff like that. Duke jumps up on his back and pulls the cord thingy out of the flamethrower. So there's a bunch of oil or gasoline or whatever the hell's in it on the floor. Eventually Ace gets the upper hand, lights man on fire. I can't remember if he dies. No, that's very disappointing. After he lights Buddy on fire with the explosion in the tank, it's not mentioned of him burning alive. Instead, it just says that they kind of get away from the explosion and Ace punches him in the face till he's unconscious. It's fine. Navy lady, distraught, crying that her entire purpose and existence was all a lie, follows Ace and Duke away as they're going back to the crew, who's on the run from the Admiral, so they're sailing away. Ace wants to grab her hand, but she doesn't allow him, or he doesn't touch her hand for whatever reason, because the hand is burned and he is fire, and yada yada. They run, and they have to jump onto the ship. Ace and Duke jump. Navy lady stays behind, saying, I can't leave. I can't be a bounty hunter like you wanted me to. I can't go with you, but goodbye, Ace. Ace is very melancholy and sad because he doesn't think he deserves love or anything like that, and Duke once again compares him to the sun and how he's drawn all the crew members to him, but he's so bright and wonderful, and he doesn't know that and doesn't see it, and if people get too close to the sun, they may get burned. Ace is a good boy. I love him so very much. He deserves better. He deserves so much better. And he deserved better than this first book, which he got in this second book. So I love this one. So we start with, we're on Fishman Island, and they are gone to the Mermaid Cafe. Ace went to a different location. He's talking to Aladdin. He's getting information. He makes a casual note about how if the king can't protect his own daughter, then there's probably going to be a mutiny, and Aladdin's just like, no, he's friends with Whitebeard. There's not going to be no uprising or mutiny. Ace goes back, sees Whitebeard's flag, and sets it on fire. My poor sweet boy. I am grinning, not knowing out of fear, or mostly fear, but like how did Ace survive this long? Like, he just lit Whitebeard's flag on fire. So he has gone off into the new world with his crew, set on making a name for himself, but he doesn't want to be the Pirate King because if it came out that he's Roger's son, well, he's just following in his father's footsteps. He's done what his father has done. He needs to surpass that. He needs to make a name all his own, And he's not quite sure how he's going to do it, but he's basically wants to burn the world down, turn it on its head. He wants to go after the world government, the Celestial Dragons, for what they did to Sabo. He wants to do something bigger than become Pirate King. So he's going to start with taking down an emperor, and Whitebeard was the first one that he's seen, the first one who came in his way with the flag at Fishman Island. So he's going after him. But first, he got to go talk to Shanks. So he tracks down red-haired Shanks, and it's a delight because he's so awkward, and he's trying to be polite and humble to this emperor who does not know him. And he's like, he's stumbling over his words. He's trying to be endearing, and then at the end, he's just like, "Yeah, you saved my little brother Luffy." And everyone in Shanks' crew is just like, "Luffy, why didn't you leave with that? Come on in." And they have a party, and it's beautiful. And Ace is just casually like, "Oh yeah, I plan to take down a warlord." And, take down an emperor. Not you, though. You've been very hospitable to me, and you saved my kid brother, so I can't go after you. And Shanks is just like, "Well, I'm glad I'm off the hook, sir." And I think that's just hilarious. So it reveals that he's going to be going after Whitebeard, and no one actually thinks that he's going to be able to do this. But Beckman makes a very good point of what he wants would have been more suited to the Revolutionary Army. So if this man, this sweet, sweet boy, had went to the army instead, he would have came across Sabo. He would have met Sabo. He could have gotten there. My poor sweet boy. So taking advantage of the fact that Whitebeard's currently dealing with some other things in his territory, and some of his crew and ships are gone away, and the Moby Dick is more or less unprotected, they go to an island that they know he's going to use to restock and get supplies, resupply, whatever. And they plan to attack there, only for Jinbei to show up. And Jinbei had heard about what Ace had done, the insults against Fishman Island and Whitebeard, so he starts attacking Ace. Ace fights this man. He goes toe-to-toe with Jinbei for 5 days straight, and he is collapsed on the ground, can barely stand. Duke comes up behind him, and is trying to get him away when Whitebeard shows up. And Ace is just like, "I'm not running. Wall of fire, I'm fighting this man. You guys get out of here, make a run for it." Whitebeard realizes he's barely standing. Like, he's got no energy to stand up. And he's just buying time for his crew to get away safely. So he gives the crew time to run before attack, and Ace goes down. When Ace wakes up, he is once again on he's not once again. He is on Whitebeard's ship, having been taken quote-unquote hostage, but no chains. His crewmates, who he had got time to run away, had come back for him. Ace had stood up without even realizing it, dead on his feet, trying to protect them. And they all just had been taken to Whitebeard's ship after Whitebeard knocked him out again. Ace refuses to join Whitebeard's crew, but he's on there. You have the multiple attempts at assassination, and that's when Duke starts bringing up the pirate code. You're eating his food, you're on his ship, you should pull your own weight. Like, I didn't mention in his crew, they have a lynx. They have this giant, like, panther-sized lynx that Ace rescued from poachers in the first book. You don't see him be rescued, but you hear about it. And the lynx also loves Ace, because everyone loves Ace, and likes him because he's warm and can huddle up to him. Anywho, regardless, that is not important, but I feel it should be known. He has a pet lynx. If you eat somebody's food, if someone gives you things, like, you should work for it, you should pay your own way. Especially Ace understands that from his time with the bandits. So he starts more or less working for Whitebeard, but he's not a member of the crew. He refuses to join, and he also realizes that all these assassinations attempts still go against more or less the pirate code, and that it should be out in the open. So after talking with the 4th Division Commander Thatch, as well as Teach, Marshal D. Teach, he goes to Whitebeard and talks about doing this out in the open, so he wants proper duels. He's going to challenge Whitebeard to a fight. He'll accept, and they'll fight, and eventually Ace says he's going to win. Thatch puts a condition on this. You get 100 chances, otherwise you're joining the crew or you're leaving. And Ace has no choice but to accept, as that was kind of added on after he already made the deal with Whitebeard. So Thatch and Blackbeard all go to an island. They got a job to do, clean up some ruffians who are causing trouble in Whitebeard's territory. That gets handled without a hitch. They go to a bar, they're drinking. Some people give them flower crowns as thanks, and Ace accepts it. And he starts to understand that the towns protected by Whitebeard are not just towns that Whitebeard has conquered. They're ones that he is protecting. And if anything happens to Whitebeard, these towns are going to be affected. Eventually, he also realizes that places like Fishman Island rose those flags because of how much they admire, respect, and need and love Whitebeard. And in burning down that flag in Fishman Island, he wasn't just sending a message of war against Whitebeard, he was insulting Fishman Island as well. So he's slowly starting to understand the importance of Whitebeard and why people love him. You also get Blackbeard talking about the devil fruit he has, as Thatch, who is a cook, also says like he would have loved to have Ace's fire powers to control the heat for cooking. And they start saying, hey, what one would you want if you could have any devil fruit each? And he says, oh, nothing in particular comes to mind. They're like, I bet you'd want the clear fruits. And he's like, totally. Ace also asks, does anyone know, because Shanks had mentioned that the scar on his eyes came from a member of Whitebeard's crew. And Thatch has no idea. Like, he's like, I've never heard of this. Blackbeard he jokes like, oh, that was totally me. And they're like, really? And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, totally joking. Kill this man. Someone kill this man, please. Ace loses his 100th fight with Whitebeard, and he talks to Marco about why you guys call him Pops. And Marco's like, because it makes us feel good, whether or not he means it or not, it doesn't matter. We are a family. And all this time, through this entire book, Ace has been wondering what he has to do, how he's got to make a name for himself, why he's got to make a name for himself, and how he should distinguish himself from Roger, how he should do something different than become the Pirate King, what's his purpose in life. And he has found a place to belong with the Whitebeard pirates, that he loves them and he accepts the father-son ceremony. He calls Whitebeard Pops. He accepts them as family. He has found his place to belong, and I love Ace so very much. Like I said, this is not the most well-written book in the world, but I love Ace and his journey and his story, and it definitely added a lot to his character. So I did love that. So in conclusion, I do not recommend, other than an anticlimactic getting his devil fruit and a couple good moments, not the best book for Volume 1, but Volume 2 is an absolute delight, and it definitely adds to his character, and you feel a lot for him as you see his goals change and his priorities and his struggles and what he wants out of life as he's trying to find a place to belong with people who love him and accept that he can be loved. So yes, I love this one. All right, that is all I got. I will eventually be back with my Wano review. Talk to you later. Bye.